Hello, and welcome to Concerned Educators Against Forced Unionism's lunch break. We shorten that to CFU. I'm Sandra Crandall, Chairman of the National Right to Work Legal, Defense, and Education Foundation, under which CFU operates. Any thoughts or opinions that I express today will be in the capacity as the chairman of this organization. I am also an elected governing board member serving the students and community and parents in Fountain Valley School District, a public kindergarten through 8th grade district here in California. This gives me a perspective from the employer standpoint on the topics we'll be talking about today. But of most significance is the fact that I was a non-union public school teacher for 39 years here in California, which is a monopoly bargaining state. And this truly has given me firsthand experience with today's topics. Where to find information, how to access resources and get support for teachers who want to exercise their freedom to choose whether or not they want to belong to a union. Americans for Fair Treatment, which is a national nonprofit, provides these valuable resources and support at no charge. So today, we have the honor of hearing Brigette Herbst, who's the Senior Organizing Director for Americans for Fair Treatment, as she will share her expertise and help us understand how we can gain information and access those valuable resources and support. As today's presentation moves along, please feel free to type any questions you may have into the chat box. So welcome, Brigette. With this being a lunch break presentation, we're very confident that you're going to give us a lot to chew on. So it's all yours, Brigette.
Great. Thank you so much, Sandra, for the very warm welcome. Thank you all for being here and listening in a little bit about AFFT. That's our short name. Our full name is Americans for Fair Treatment. It's a bit of a mouthful, so we've shortened it to AFFT, not to be confused with AFT. So a little background on myself, on AFFT. I currently live in South Carolina. I was a New Yorker for 40-something years before we left right in the middle of COVID. We joke, our CEO, Elizabeth, jokes that I've had almost every public sector job you can have. So I worked on the New York State Legislature. I was an elementary school teacher. And then the last public sector job I had was in a municipal government county job. I had worked in HR. I worked in the county clerk's office. So I have a lot of experience with public sector unions, both with teacher unions and some of the other unions that operate. As far as AFFT goes, we've been around since about 2015. AFFT was originally started specifically in Pennsylvania to file some class action lawsuits against Pennsylvania had these things called ghost teachers. They were basically teachers that were on the school's payroll, but were working exclusively for the union. After the Janus decision, AFFT kind of grew. We worked exclusively in New York and Pennsylvania for quite a while doing opt-outs for any public sector workers. So we have a lot of teachers, but we also have a lot of our members that work in any kind of government position. So we have federal employees, we have municipal employees, we have state employees. If you name it, if you're a public sector employee, you can be a member of AFFT. We've now have membership, I think, in 33 states. So originally we started in Pennsylvania and New York, but we've expanded our membership into quite a few states now. Part of our expansion program is that we love to work with partners. So we love to work with the state think tanks that are operating in that state. We also like to work with the associations, like the CFU associations, to partner with them to best help the public employees in those areas. We have quite a few things that we do. I think the highlight of our organization right now is our free membership program. So any public sector worker, former public sector worker can become a member. It's totally free. We have quite a few benefits that we offer them. We offer a discount program, like teachers may have gotten with the union, movie tickets, theme parks, things like that, they can get through the discount program. That's a free part of their membership. And then we also have some more, tangible things. So we do offer a Refer a Friend scholarship program to the non-union alternative association of their choice. So if somebody becomes a member, they bring a friend in with them. Both the new member and the friend they bring in have an opportunity for them to kind of see all of the things that these associations can offer them, the personal touch that we can give them, that the other associations can give them, and kind of test the waters and see whether this is for them. And for the most part, most of them, though, will make that jump. One of the other things we do is we do a lot of research. I think we've been cited in the press a few times as a union watchdog. We have a lot of stuff on our website. You're free to poke around on there on our non-member side of the website. One of the things that gets used a lot is our "Where do your dues go?" So we do these for a lot of the different unions. We update them annually, so they're up to date. So we have an amazing employee who goes through and takes a deep dive into the union's LM2 or 990s, depending on the union. And we really break down where the unions are spending their money, who they're giving their money to. What we heard a lot from teachers were, particularly teachers that didn't necessarily love the union, but were afraid to leave. What they were saying is, well, the union tells me that my dues aren't used on politics. That's only PAC money. It's, that's a special thing that I can opt out of. But what we're able to show from our "Where do your dues go?" is that a lot of the actual direct union dues are used not only to fund politicians, but to fund other kind of organizations that our members may not necessarily agree with. For the most part, when we dive into those LM2s and those 990s, is what we see is that the money that the unions are spending on representation is significantly much less than they're spending on other things. As I said, our Refer a Friend scholarship, we work with different partners. We work with KEDA in Pennsylvania. We work with Appel in Louisiana. I just had a great lunch with J.C. Bowman yesterday in Tennessee. Unfortunately, I didn't get any of the great barbecue that he mentioned, but next time we go down there, we'd love to. So we have a really great, what we kind of pride ourselves on is our really great relationship with our members. I know a lot of the other associations have that too. So, I have members that have my cell phone that can call me when they have a question. If I don't know the answer, we'll find the answer for them. Part of what we kind of pride ourselves on is, what you may not have gotten from the union, we'd really like to provide that for you. So, obviously we can't go in and collectively bargain for you. And we don't offer any of the insurances like some of the other associations do, but we can give you a scholarship so you can try that out and see how that works for you. But a lot of times the things our members ask us are things that my experience is just I'm able to answer those questions for them, whether it's about their CBA, whether it's about, whether they should approach their administration or something like that. I think that's kind of, the nutshell of what AFFT does. We do a lot of work with our members to amplify their voice. So we don't lobby, but if one of our members wants to write a letter to one of their lawmakers, we can certainly help them do that. If one of our members wants to write an op-ed, we can certainly help them write an op-ed or a letter to the editor. Anything we can do to help them kind of amplify their voice. We've written testimony for school board meetings for our members, for members that want to go and speak at either the school board they work in or the school board they live in. We have an amazing legislative training program. So we have trained some of our members. They get media training from a media relations firm on public speaking. And then we kind of talk them through the process. So we have had members that have testified at committee hearings in Pennsylvania on some of the labor bills that were coming up. And we've had our members make videos for, one of our members made a video for Tennessee when they were putting their right to work stuff in their constitution. So she kind of made a video about what it's like to work in a state where the unions are extremely powerful. So our members, we have a membership level and we have an ambassador level. Those ambassadors are people that'll run through a wall for us. They will, travel somewhere and talk to other teachers. They will, call up another teacher in another state and tell them, kind of give them some of their experience. So we would welcome any of your membership to become a member of ours. We, even if you have somebody that is a current member, that has a friend they'd like to bring over to try that out, we would welcome them both as members. They are welcome to take, advantage of our Refer a Friend scholarship. Both of them would get a scholarship for a free year. We work that out with the associations. Some associations like us to just pay for that. Some of the associations like us to reimburse the member for that. However, that works out best for them. But we find that very successful. So if you have questions about the specifics of that, I'm happy to talk to people about that. I think that probably wraps up what we do. A lot of our work in the beginning was just focused on opt-outs and helping people opt out and educating them about the fact that they could. But now that we do feel like most public employees know that that's an option now, they still kind of need some help getting through that process. They may need legal referrals. We can refer people on to, nonprofit law firms that we work with across the country that can help them with that, like Right to Work. We do a lot of work with the Fairness Center also in Pennsylvania, referring public workers over there that, may have trouble getting out or have questions about something their union did. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Please poke around on our website. You can take a look at where do our dues go. If there's a specific union you would like us to do, we can certainly take requests and try to work that into some of the work that we're doing, and take a look at the benefits and perks of our membership program. But I'm happy to, talk specifics with anyone that has questions later on too. So, thank you. One of the things our members love.
And it is
yes, I see that.
How can you help our group with a workshop for non-union teachers? You talked about traveling places, going through walls to get. So could you just share a little bit on how that would work?
Sure.
Please?
Yes, we've done quite a few. What we found kind of post-COVID is a lot of this stuff is easier to do online. On a Zoom call or something. So we do a lot of webinars, and we do a lot of kind of teacher roundtables almost. So, some of our webinars will have a specific expert on. We've done ones with Bill Messenger from Right to Work about, specific questions, legal questions that workers may have. But we also like to do ones probably quarterly or so with our members where, if you've been in a classroom and if you've been in a classroom recently, it's tough. And, especially if you're in a school district where, you may be one of the few people that is not a member of the union, and you may just want a safe place you can go to talk, to ask questions, to vent, just to kind of experience what it's like to be able to talk about what you need to talk about. So we do webinars, but we also do some kind of, very free format where our members can just chat with each other and talk and ask questions of each other.
That would be extremely helpful in that when you are a non-union teacher, many times you might be the sole person on a particular school site and you feel very isolated. You kind of even wonder if there are others out there that share the same opinions and thoughts and beliefs. So having a group in which to connect is really, really helpful. That's great. And
yes,
because of the Zoom, I was going to say, because of the Zoom capabilities, and with you being on the East Coast, you can handle Zoom meetings, whether the middle of the country or the West Coast.
Exactly. Yes. We had a great call with some teachers in Connecticut. And there was a teacher, she was working in the Hartford area in a really rough school. They were having, crazy discipline issues where like a sixth grader had brought a taser to school. And, they really felt like the union wasn't doing anything to help them when they went and talked to them about it. So she was feeling she had left the union. She was feeling very isolated. And we had this call with a bunch of these teachers from the Hartford area. And so what she found out was that there were six other teachers in her school that had also left the union. None of them were talking about it. So they didn't know And we were able to connect them, and now they can meet and chat, and she was almost in tears. She was so relieved to find out that there were other people right in her building that she didn't even know that had left the union.
Yes, the employer has no obligation to know who is a fee, for example, a fee payer or a non-union teacher, other than through payroll where dues get deducted, etc. So having a network like this is extremely, extremely important.
Yeah.
A question came through
Yes.
that asked whether or not you do work in New Mexico, the state of New Mexico.
I do. We do not, but we are happy to talk to anybody. So, if someone's in New Mexico and they want to reach out, I don't believe we have any members there, but we're happy to talk to anybody. One of the things that we really do like to do when we get a new member in a new state, which is why we like to work with the partners, is we like to kind of understand the lay of the land, the specifics there. We like to try to get. If it's a place that has collective bargaining, we like to try to pull those collective bargaining contracts, just so that if a member has a question, we feel like we can answer them. But we do not have any members in New Mexico that I know of, but we're happy to talk with anybody.
Be a wonderful opportunity for you. The next question came up asking, why do you think most teachers, in your opinion, or through your group that you have found hard data on, why do most teachers leave the National Education Association or the American Federation of Teachers, NEA or AFT?
I think for most of them it's very personal. So I think we have a lot of members who, if they were in states that they were forced to become members, once the Janus decision happened, they left immediately. They knew they didn't want to be union members, and once they had that choice, they took advantage of it right away. We also have, we have quite a few members in New York City who, are very progressive politically, but either the union, they didn't feel the union represented them. They didn't feel like their dues there are pretty high. I think they're about $1,500 a year. So they didn't feel like they were getting enough value for what they were paying. So they decided to leave. We had a lot of teachers in New York City leave the union when New York City required vaccine mandates for all the teachers, and they felt like the union didn't advocate for them, didn't advocate for their job, for them to keep their job, even though they had an exemption or something. They were all terminated. So I think for a lot of teachers, it's very personal. I think one of the things we hear a lot from teachers is, I wish I could stay in my local. I love the teachers that I work with. I love my building rep will go to the principal for me and advocate for me, but I just don't like that they get so little of my money, and that, I'm paying all these dues and they're going up to, the NEA and the AFT to use for political things, to use for things, to support organizations that I may not support. So we really do have a wide range of members, on the political spectrum. And I think for a lot of them, it's a really personal thing. It's their hard-earned money, and I think how they choose to use it is really personal to them.
Yes, and that's very, very, very true. For each individual, it's a decision that they get to make.
Yes.
The structure is a unified structure where you cannot just as a teacher support your local. They have that neatly tied up, which disallows teachers to just support their local.
They sure do. And it's always disappointing to teachers teachers who, want that when we explain it to them.
Yes, it is. It is. And yet the dues structure is such that very little goes to their local. Sometimes less than a fifth of the money goes to the actual local, with the bulk going to the state, and then another portion going to the national level. So it's so interesting with your organization being in existence for about 7 years, as you mentioned. Sometimes teachers don't need or don't even know what they don't know. So organizations like yours do not pop up on the radar until something comes along which asks them which causes them to ask further questions about where can I learn about, where can I gain more information, how do I get support, what do I need to know. So it's great that your organization does exist. And the media training that you have offered with legislative insights also is pretty important, because although it's a small group of people typically that are non-union within the schools, advocating is very important, but knowing how to do that is equally important. So that's a resource that people can reach out to your organization to learn how to do, which is great. And speaking about reaching out, how do they get a hold of you? For example, is your telephone number on the website? Is your address on the website? How do they navigate that?
Our telephone number is on there. We actually have a new feature now too. We have a chat bot on our website. So if a teacher just anonymously wants to, ask us a question, we can certainly answer that. I think sometimes teachers have questions and they want to know who they're dealing with and, who they're talking to, or they want to ask a question and not have anybody know who they are. So our chat feature has been pretty popular. We've had a lot of questions through that, but all of our contact information is right on our website. Our phone number is on there. I'm happy to talk with a teacher anytime. So, if they have the weekend's better for them, I can make that work. Evening, a lot of our public employees are working during the day and they don't feel comfortable asking questions during the day while they're at work. So, we can make ourselves available in the evening, whatever works for them. But all of that's right on our website.
Well, that's absolutely wonderful. And then a very important factor for those that will use your services is that you provide this with no charge to those that are correct, accessing your information. Okay.
No charge.
And you do that because you're a nonprofit organization.
Correct. Yes. And we do, when we refer teachers on for like a legal referral, if they're having an issue and they need an attorney, all of the legal referrals that we give are also to other nonprofits where, they wouldn't have to pay for any of those legal services.
Mm-hmm. And what's so interesting is that precedent-setting Janus decision that came out in June of 2018 was not a cure-all for things union. It is extremely helpful, but when I say not a cure-all, is the unions continue to put up many roadblocks. They tend not to share information on how to go about doing things. And you mentioned a bargaining agreement, which basically is the union's contract with the employer, the school district, and learning how to read those and find out where these very narrow windows are in which you can either resign and or ask for your dues to no longer be deducted, really needs experts to help most teachers with that. So again, that's something that your organization will provide, correct?
Yes. A lot of the times when somebody calls us, it's because they've seen something and they want to verify it because what they were told by the union was inaccurate. So, they may have seen somewhere that they're able to stop paying union dues. But then when they reach out to the union, they're told, well, you can stop, but you're going to lose this benefit or you're going to lose that benefit. So, those are definitely myths that we like to try to clarify for people. But I think, we also like to be really honest with them. So, if you do decide to leave the union, they're not going to let you go to the union meeting. They're not going to let you vote on the union contract. So I think having all of that information and being really educated is what's important. We really pride ourselves on being very honest, but providing all of the facts and letting them know, the union may be telling you this, that's not necessarily true.
And that's so important because, again, the employer cannot share that detailed information with the employee, believe it or not. And the teachers do need outside resources to help them with that. And you're there to do that. So that's great.
Yeah. A lot of times what we see, particularly in states where the union's, very powerful, is that the HR departments in a lot of school districts or municipalities kind of use the union as an arm of the HR department. So something that really should be between the employee and the employer kind of gets pushed off to the union. So a lot of times teachers in particular have a question that their employer should be answering for them, but their employer is pushing them off onto the union to answer those questions for them. So, we kind of like to make sure that when we talk to a teacher, they know they're getting the correct information. We can point them to exactly why they're getting that information. So you may have a question and never have looked at your collective bargaining agreement. So we can pull that up and we can talk through it, and they can see that in black and white and really become educated on what affects their position.
And many times there are provisions that state legislators put into place which further prohibits the employer from talking to their own employees. And that is very problematic. So at this point of our presentation, Brigette, is there anything else that you would like to add before we say goodbye?
I don't think so. I would encourage anyone to reach out to us if you have questions. If you'd like to try to see how we can work together, we're happy to talk to anyone anytime. So please reach out, take a look at our website, take a look at what we do, and we'd love to talk with you.
Well, then we would just like to give you a heartfelt thank you, Brigette, because just as we thought, you shared many ways in which Americans for Fair Treatment can support anyone needing help in navigating all things union, basically. And just to our viewing audience, a reminder that this presentation will be archived on the CFU website for you to listen to again. And of course, we do encourage you to share with others this presentation, as it was extremely helpful. And if you have any further questions, as Brigette mentioned, you can contact her at the Americans for Fair Treatment at their website. So at this point, we'd just like to say thank you all for attending. We hope that you learned a lot, and being a lunch break have given you a lot to chew on. Bye-bye.
Thank you.